everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be raving about spooky stories and telling you another spooky story from boarding school. Okay, so today's video will be another spooky story from boarding school, and I have my little ghost buddy here so that I'm not too freaked out when I tell you about this. Okay, so as I was reading this book that I got for my birthday, I came across that classic game, light as a feather, stiff as a board. And if you don't know what that game is, it's the classic levitation game where someone lies down on the floor and then the other people surrounding them like put two fingers underneath their body and like try to levitate them by chanting light as a feather, stiff as a board. Now, before I tell you about the similar game that we played at boarding school, I just want to have a little disclaimer on this channel. So I'm going to say that I do not recommend that you try this game at home, but if you do, because I mean, I can't stop you, then anything that happens is not my fault, okay? So that is the disclaimer. Don't try this at home, but if you do, anything that happens isn't my fault. Okay, so when I was at boarding school in the late 90s to the early 2000s, yeah, I'm old, we didn't have social media or ways like that to entertain ourselves. So what we would do instead is we would play these spooky games. So on Friday and Saturday nights we would gather and play these games. The one that I'm going to tell you about is similar to light as a feather, stiff as a board. So this game was played at the boarding house that was an old horse stable that was converted into a boarding house, and there is a resident ghost there apparently, which I explained in my other video, and I'll link it below if you haven't seen that one. But anyway, on Friday nights, because we had an extra hour to entertain ourselves, lights out was an hour later than usual. So lights out is when the house mother, who is like the adult that looked after the kids, or the warden, if you will, because, you know, boarding school was kid jail, lights out would go off at 10:30 instead of 9:30, and then you'd have to go to sleep. So for that extra hour we could do whatever we wanted, and it was very rare for us to have free time at boarding school because we had like mandatory homework hours and stuff like that. So anyway, we would play this game that was like a levitation game, and we didn't have a name for it, so I'm just gonna refer to it as the levitation game for this video. And we would play this game on the first level of this boarding house because the second level didn't have a wall like I explained in my other video, so it was dangerous. So we would play on the first level, so there was no chance of us like falling off and injuring ourselves or dying. Anyway, how we played this game is one person would sit in a chair on the ground and then the others would surround them in a circle. So there was 5 of us all together, so one person in the chair and then 4 people surrounding the chair. And what we would do, the people in the circle would blow really fast on the top of the person's head that was in the chair for 30 seconds, and then we would stop, and then really quickly we would grab the chair with the person in it and then lift them up. And I cannot explain it to this day, but it felt like you were weightless for 2 seconds, like you were floating. It was such a weird sensation. Like, we all took turns in the chair, and when it was my turn, I felt like I was floating for like 2 seconds. It was so strange. It was like the weight that you normally feel in your body was gone, and so like you were lifted up a lot higher than what you would expect. And each girl took a turn and we were all different shapes and sizes, and there was like no way we would have been able to lift these people. Like, we shouldn't have been able to lift each and every person in the chair, but we did. It was so weird. Like, okay, I'm gonna try and explain this better. So one time we were at camp and one of the girls broke her ankle, so we were out in the bush and we had to make this like makeshift stretcher out of sticks and leaves and stuff, and then carry her back to camp. And she was like my size, so like 50 kilos, which I think is about 100 pounds. And there were 6 of us carrying her, and it was a struggle. Like, it was really heavy, and you know, there were 6 of us carrying her. And like, when we played this game, there were only 4 of us lifting up the person. So like, we didn't struggle at all, no matter who was in the chair. So it was like, it was so weird, and like, they really did feel lighter than they should have when we lifted them up. It was so bizarre, and I still cannot explain it to this day. Some people say it's because the air pressure changes, like when you blow on top of their head, but I don't know. I don't know why that would work, but anyway, maybe it was the resident ghost at the boarding school helping us out. I don't know, but yeah, it really did work. Like, you felt like you were floating or levitating. It was so weird. Okay, so that is the spooky story for today. I don't think it's that spooky. Like, it's really unexplainable, but I mean, I don't think there are any ghosts involved, unless the, you know, the resident boarding school ghost was helping us out. But we never saw her or anything, so I don't know. What do you guys think of this game? Do you think it would work if you tried it? Again, like, if you do try it, I'm not responsible for anything. But yeah, like, these were the sorts of games we would play on Friday nights when we had some free time in the boarding house, because we didn't have like social media or anything, so we had to figure out ways to entertain ourselves besides reading and writing and stuff like that. Yeah, we didn't have a lot of options. Like, you weren't allowed to leave the boarding house after a certain time at night. You couldn't leave the grounds. There's all these rules and stuff, and boarding school really is like kid jail. I will make a video about that in the future, but today I just wanted to talk about that spooky levitation game. And like, I cannot explain it to this day, which is why I think it's a little spooky. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye!